Modern movies look better than ever, so why do they feel less real? There is a specific kind of magic that exists in the space between the frames of an old film. It's not just the story, and it's definitely not the resolution. Somewhere along the way, films stopped feeling like memories and started feeling like simulations.
Do you guys ever think about dying?
And the weird part? The answer isn't in better acting or bigger budgets. It's in something we lost. Because if you go back and watch movies like Stand By Me, The Breakfast Club, or Thelma and Louise, you don't just watch them, you feel them. Then you throw on an older film and everything changes. You see sweat on a steering wheel in the desert heat, kids covered in real mud, shivering because the water was actually cold. We call that nostalgia, but honestly, that word feels a little lazy. So today, we're breaking down why movies don't feel real anymore and why these films might be the greatest portrayal of realism in cinema. Let's start with Rob Reiner's Stand By Me. This isn't just a kids on an adventure movie, it's a documentary of a feeling. Realism in Stand By Me doesn't come from the plot, it comes from the mess. Because in a modern version of this movie, these kids would be Disney-fied. Cleaner, funnier, safer. Their dialogue would be snappy, their hair would stay perfect. But Reiner lets them be ugly. They swear.
Stupid waste of time.
That's your dad talking.
Bullshit. Bull true.
They're cruel to each other. They're genuinely scared of a dead body. All in a way that feels real. Part of that ugliness comes down to the equipment itself. In 1986, you couldn't just let a camera roll for hours on a digital drive. Everything was shot on physical film, and that meant limits. Real, tangible limits. Every take costs money. Every second used up space. So when actors were out there in the mud, they knew they only had a handful of chances to get it right before the light disappeared or the film ran out. That pressure creates a different kind of energy on set. A frantic, grounded energy that translates through the lens as truth. Because the film allows for the ugly parts of childhood, the dirt, the cigarettes, the stakes feel life or death. When that train comes down the bridge, you're not thinking about stunt work or camera tricks. You're thinking about the weight of that steel on those specific tracks. And there's something else happening here too. Back then, filmmaking was physical. Between the film stock, the limited takes, heavier cameras, all of this forced directors to slow down. The camera couldn't just cut every 2 seconds. It had to stay. And because of that, moments lasted longer. They had time to breathe. That long stretch on the tracks isn't just suspense, it's time passing in real time. You feel the distance. You feel the danger getting closer. And that's something quick cuts and CGI can't replicate. Because you're not just watching the moment, you're sitting inside it. If Stand By Me is the realism of the outdoors, The Breakfast Club is the realism of the in-between. John Hughes did something radical here. He let the movie breathe. In a sequence of a modern movie, something has to happen every 30 seconds to keep the retention up. But in The Breakfast Club, the realism is found in the boredom. The squeak of sneakers. The silence between two people who hate each other but realize they're exactly the same. Because they were stuck in one room, the camera captures the physical discomfort of being a teenager. We often forget how much noise is in our daily lives. Not music, but noise. Modern movies often drown these out with a constant wall-to-wall musical score that tells you exactly how to feel at every second. But Hughes let the diegetic sounds, the sounds actually happening in the room, do the heavy lifting. When the music does finally kick in, it feels earned because we've spent so much time in the physical reality of that library. It hits hard, hits different. because the movie has spent 40 minutes just sitting with them. Realism isn't just how a movie looks, it's the patience to let a moment exist without a soundtrack telling you how to feel. What I love most about The Breakfast Club is how natural everything feels, like you're not even watching a movie at times. The conversations aren't perfect, people interrupt each other, they open up slowly, and sometimes they say things they don't fully understand yet. That's what makes it feel real. Each character starts off as a stereotype, but as the movie goes on, those labels start to break down, and you realize there's way more going on beneath the surface. It shows the pressure, the insecurity, and the confusion of trying to figure out who you are while everyone expects you to fit into a box. And on top of that, it's one of the most iconic films from the 80s, not just because of its style or soundtrack, but because of how honest it is. The vibes, the cast, the chemistry between them. It all comes together in a way that feels timeless, like this story could happen in any generation and still hit the same way. Then we get to Thelma and Louise. This is where nostalgia meets cinematography. Ridley Scott is a master of atmosphere, but here he uses the environment as a character. A lot of modern road movies are shot on controlled sets or LED stages. And yeah, it looks good. But something's missing. In Thelma and Louise, the wind, the sun, the dust, they're all obstacles. And when they drive through the night, the darkness feels heavy. When you shoot on a digital volume or a green screen, the light is artificial. It's perfect light. But in the real world, light is messy. It bounces off the chrome of a bumper, it flickers as you pass under a bridge. You can see the makeup fading, and that's not a look created in post-production. That's the result of actually being out there, battling the elements. And even the car, it's not just a prop. That Thunderbird feels like a living thing. When everything around the characters feels real, the choices they make start to feel real too. This film has all the unmistakable energy of a 90s film, something raw and unfiltered that Hollywood rarely captures today. At its core, it's a story about friendship, but not the kind that feels polished or idealized. It's messy, complicated, and shaped by real-life pressures, fear, frustration, and the need to escape a world that feels stacked against you. What makes it so compelling is how grounded everything feels. The characters don't exist just to serve a plot, they react. They make impulsive decisions, and they deal with the consequences in ways that feel genuinely human. The journey they go on isn't just physical, it's emotional. And it slowly transforms them in a way that feels earned, not forced. And the fact that two women lead this story, especially at a time when that wasn't the norm, gives it an even stronger sense of authenticity. It doesn't feel like it's trying to prove anything, it just feels real. And that's what makes it stick with you. So, why don't movies feel real anymore? We've spent the last 20 years trying to remove the noise from movies, the grain, the dust, the shadows. But that noise is exactly what tells our brains that something is real. It's the difference between looking at a picture of a room and actually standing inside it. And now, we've reached this strange point in cinema where everything is technically perfect, but nothing feels present. We've traded friction for perfection. We have 8K resolution, unlimited control, cameras that can see in the dark, but the clearer the image gets, the more the soul leaks out of the frame. Because we used to build movies out of sweat and realness. Now we build them out of math. And whether we realize it or not, our brains can tell the difference. It almost feels like movies are designed for shorter attention spans now. So maybe it's not nostalgia. Maybe we're just missing the feeling of something that was actually there. So I'm curious, what's one movie that feels real to you? Not because it's a true story, but because you can almost feel it through the screen. Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more deep dives into the soul of film. I'll see you in the next one.